The Angels 2014. The Angels world champions. Oh, and first pitch crushing.
And Viva los Angelitos, and welcome to Halos in the Infield. My name is Fernando Mendez, joined here by a face you might be familiar with if you're on Angels Tik Tok, and that's Swilly. Swilly, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. So why are we having you on? Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell the fans a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I mean, we're here to be sad together about the first half of the Angel season, but no. So my name is Swilly, born and raised in Orange County, California. I found the Angels on my own. I didn't have any family that really watched baseball. So once I started playing softball, I started watching baseball to try to get better at the sport, and here we are. And, you know, I grew up really close to Angel Stadium too. So, you know, it's just a shot down the 57, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Oh, so what was your draw to baseball? You know, since you were playing softball, I know there's a natural connection there, but
Yeah.
what was the real appeal to baseball for you?
You know, well, okay, so let me kind of back up a little bit. I've always been a really athletic kid. I was really athletic growing up. I wanted to play all of the sports, and I have always been really competitive from like a young age. If I didn't win a board game, oh hell no. It was not a fun time for anybody around me. So I've always been really competitive. And I think the thing that stuck with baseball and softball was this idea of it being so individual, but also so like team oriented. There's two things about me really. I like to be in control, but then I also love like the camaraderie aspect of it. And it's like literally not like any other sport. I mean, you know, I guess in America, maybe like, you know, you can compare it to like cricket or something like that. But, you know, when people compare baseball to like football or basketball, like you can't even compare it. It's so different. Yeah. And, you know, also just when I started watching baseball, really, there were so many of these really big names that people were talking about. One of them really being Mike Trout. That was really when I first really started, that's when I really started to get invested, when he got drafted in 2009. So really because of softball and then just how different it was, that's where I found my love for the game. So
Yeah, I'll give you that. I've always kind of liked the chess game that is baseball.
Yes.
You know, every other game is so straightforward. You know, football, you have to advance down the field. Basketball, you got to make it in the bucket. You know, hockey, you got to make it in the net. Same idea with soccer. But, you know, with baseball, like, it's one of the only games where, like, what you did 2 weeks ago might actually matter today. If you're in a slump, it actually matters. You know, there's such a mental aspect to baseball that you really don't understand unless you play baseball or softball, you know, which is basically the same kind of world. I think softball is a little more fast-paced because, you know, the field's a little bit smaller. So, yeah, because of that, it makes the game of softball so much more fast-paced because the bases are closer together. But, yeah, same basic idea.
Yeah, even just thinking about the concept of, like, when you're on offense, the defense is starting with the ball. Like, even that, you know? And, yeah, there's base running and hitting and fielding. Like, there's just so many things to learn. And even now, you know, I played softball. Luckily, I was able to play in high school and college. And now, you know, I still watch baseball every day and I'm still learning. So, which is fun for me. I like to learn. So.
I don't think any of us will ever truly know every baseball rule. There's just way too many.
Absolutely not. There's absolutely.
Okay, so favorite Angel overall, you know, and I won't take, you know, the obvious, you know, Trout or Ohtani, anything like that.
That's a hard question. There's a lot of different Angels that I admire for a lot of different reasons.
Okay.
So I guess the first two that really jump out to me, the first one is Jared Weaver. Jared Weaver taught me that my intensity was something that could benefit me if I like used it correctly. one of the things that I figured out really quickly as an athlete was that I was really intense. And as like a 12-year-old playing softball, that was kind of weird. Or not weird, but like, like
Different.
So different. Yeah. Like, why are you so upset? Or like, why, if I'm cheering so loud, it's like, oh my God, you're so loud. Like, he taught me that like my intensity wasn't necessarily a bad thing. And so I loved watching him pitch. And, we both also had the same number. So my favorite number is 36. And then he also just happened to have it. So yeah, Jared Weaver is probably one, just for that kind of like play style aspect, I guess. And then the other one, again, there's so many, but the other one that really jumps out to me is Vladdy. Vladdy was just, how could you like not watch him with a smile on your face at all times? He was so fun to watch. The one thing that always sticks out to me is that ball that he hit that bounced 5 feet in front of him. And like, he was just so fun to watch. Big old smile on his face. He just looked like he was having so much fun, which is why I wanted to play too. So yeah.
Okay.
Vladdy.
Yeah, he was a fun player to watch. Super scrappy, super different.
Yes.
A guy you never really, he was. Another guy who I really liked was like Sean Figgins for almost the same kind of thing.
Literally top of the list too. Love Sean Figgins. Love him.
For me, I think everyone who like listens to the show knows that I'm a big like Yunel Escobar apologist.
Okay.
So I like think of a ton of excuses for him. But I think when it really boils down to, like, my favorite guy was always Andrelton Simmons. I loved the way he played. I loved his defense. And I liked how when he was actually here, he actually used his bat for good.
Yeah.
When he was with the Braves, he wasn't a good hitter. Came here, kind of figured it out. And then since he left to the Twins and the Cubs, just kind of sucked again offensively.
Yeah. Yeah, Simba was great too. I always like hitting is fun, but I don't know. I'm kind of weird. At the end of the day, I love being on defense. So watching him play shortstop or really just middle infield was amazing.
I couldn't hit the broadside of a barn like when I was a kid. So I always prioritized defense because that's the one thing I could do. So
that's fair. Yeah, the hitting took a while for me too. Yeah, it took a while for me to figure out.
Okay, fair enough. What would you say? How old were you?
So I started playing when I was 12, which in Southern California for baseball or softball is kind of considered a little late.
Yeah, super ancient.
Yeah, but yeah, but I was busy trying to find my other sport, or really busy trying to find the sport that I really liked. Softball was just like one of the last ones.
What else did you try?
Oh geez, I did soccer, I did basketball, I did ice skating for a little bit. I know, super random. My dad was super into Supercross, so I rode dirt bikes for a while.
Okay.
I did water polo for a couple of years, like all over the place.
Did people consider you like a tomboy growing up?
Yes.
Because,
oh my god.
Okay.
Oh my god, yes, absolutely. I mean, even looking back at like old pictures and stuff, I'm like, wow, I was a tomboy for sure.
Okay, fair enough. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. Yeah. So I guess let's get into the nitty-gritty of the first half of the season. There's obviously so much to unpack here, and it'd be unfair to sit here for 6 hours and talk about the big issues. But what are some of like the things that frustrate you the most when you just overall think of the first half? I know there's a long list, but really like try to give me like at least two things,
Yeah, I mean, one of the moments that really sticks out to me, and I think that there are a couple of people in my circle that I kind of talk to a lot about baseball that could attest to this, but a couple weeks into the season, I was like, man, we are going to live and die by this home run ball. And look at us now. I was like, we are hitting the crap out of the ball right now, which is awesome. At one point in the season, I think we were leading in home runs, even above the Yankees, or at least in that top three.
Yeah.
And I feel like every time we score now, it's on a long ball.
Yeah, I want to say, let alone the fact that it's a solo shot. It isn't even like, it's a 3-run shot. So I want to say that we're still like top 3 in home runs. If I had to say, I want to say we're still pretty high up there. The problem's just been, once again, solo shots.
Right.
I've kind of given Mike Trout the moniker of Han Solo this year because most of his shots have been solo shots. Him specifically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He, man, he has had a rough couple of weeks. Yeah. I agree with you. I mean, really the other big story when it comes to hitting, aside from living and dying by the home run ball, is, the amount of strikeouts, which is just so obvious. Like, so many swings and misses, but also like looking at strike three, which makes me want to pull my hair out. I can't stand that. I don't know.
Yeah, our fans started calling people. I guess our listeners. I don't know why I keep saying fans. Started calling Dassey Statue Dassey.
Statue Dassey. That's good.
He's a big one. I mean, I especially think back to that game at Chavez Latrine where he just looked at 3 straight pitches, and I'm just like, what are you doing, dude? Take the bat off your shoulder. Didn't try. Didn't flinch. Just went up there and didn't do much.
The amount of polls that I ran in my life for looking at strike 3 makes me so angry, knowing that he just does that all the time.
Yeah.
It angers me. Yeah. I will never, and especially when we're supposed to be aggressive, like when we're down by a bunch of runs or like early on, like how do you look at strike 2 and strike 3? I don't understand it.
Let me ask you this. What's your opinion on Max Dassey overall? Obviously, he's been on the team now for about 3 years?
Yep.
I guess 4 years? 2019? Was that his first year with us?
I want to say yes. I think it was 2019.
Yeah. It was 19. He got traded that year.
Right.
So, yeah. What's your opinion on Max Dassey? Is he a legitimate starter in Major League Baseball? Should he be more of a bench piece?
Yeah, I think that he makes a good second string catcher. I mean, the thing with Dassey too is that, like he isn't doing that well at the plate, but like that's kind of the norm at the catcher position, right? Like you have somebody that's behind the plate catching. If they get on base once a game, cool, awesome. But behind the plate, he's really not doing that great either. I don't think. I swear to God, every time somebody runs on him, they're safe. And I feel like there are a lot of times where he's not really framing the ball as well as he probably could. But, he's doing the thing. So I would probably say second string. I was very sad that we didn't grab a catcher or a catcher earlier on in the draft. I don't know if I'm assuming you watched the draft and you.
I did. Yeah. We reached out to almost every single one of the guys and we only got a handful of responses. That's par for the course, though. People are like, how do you guys get so many interviews? I'm like, well, if only you guys saw the amount of no responses we got. For the 20 yeses we got, we also got like 80 no responses.
80 no's, yeah.
But don't worry, what you have to do is you have to delete the messages they didn't respond to. So
Absolutely.
when you respond, it's like, hey, it's our first try.
First try, easy. Oh, that's funny. I love it.
Yeah, my whole thing with Max Dassey has never exactly been like, the talent. I'm not going to say he didn't deserve to get his extension. I mean, especially because he's going to be making, $5 million a year at the peak of his extension. I think this year is a little less, and then next year it goes to $5 million. But the thing with him has always been the fact that he's never fully available.
Right.
Like in 2019, he was only here for, roughly half the year. I think he came with the trade deadline. So he only played 20 games for us, plus he was a backup. In 2020, he only played in 31 games. Of course, that was the COVID year.
Yep.
2021, 87 games. He obviously had the potential to play a full season there.
Right.
Barely got over halfway. And then right now, we're currently sitting in a situation where he's at 58 games played. So what I'm saying here is that he's not always fully available, which wouldn't be a big issue if Kurt Suzuki wasn't our backup catcher.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly it. Yeah. I agree with you. And, I don't know, maybe this is just from my experience, but I don't really mind the idea of you having two solid catchers that kind of split the season, like especially on depending on what your schedule looks like and stuff. But with our current backup situation, the fact that he is barely going to scratch 100 games.
What was your opinion when they re-signed Kurt Suzuki? Since we are on the topic of catchers.
I mean, I don't know. It's tough because he used to play for us, right? So of course there's like this idea of like, oh, like he's coming back, but also like I don't want to say that he's old because that he's not old, but for a
player,
yeah,
he's pushing
for a catcher, I mean, you look at some of these other guys that are still catching, like, I mean, Yachty, obviously he's, is kind of an outlier, but like he's older, but he's also like performing. So
he's 1,000.
Right.
But see, he's the exception, not the rule.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't know. I wasn't super incredibly thrilled about it, but also like, oh, he used to be an Angel, so that's kind of cool. I don't know.
I don't think I'd be as upset about it if like he wasn't stopping a guy like Matt Dice from getting an opportunity. I mean, Matt Dice has been in the minors forever, and I get it. Yeah. He's always kind of been like a 4A kind of guy, but yet, so was Patrick Sandoval. So was Jared Walsh. So was Taylor Ward. Like, these are guys that now that they got an opportunity have been able to more or less do much better. Yeah, and then you have guys like Matt Dice who are just kind of stuck in this AAA limbo. And he's never really gotten a legitimate chance here.
Yeah. Yeah. Wallach got the chance first this year.
He did, yeah. He's
and then how old is Dice? How old is he?
I'm looking his career stats up right now.
Yeah.
So that should tell me everything. Okay, so he is 24 years old. Yeah. So he's really not that old. He's still pretty.
Not at all. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
No, not at all.
He won't even start making any potential money till 2024, and when he's arbitration eligible, and then for those 3 years, considering the fact that he hasn't really done much. Okay, so the most games he's ever played as an Angel was in 2019. He played 53 games. In 2020, he played 8. In 2021, he played 3. And this year, he's played 2.
What? Yeah. I don't know. That's a little bit of a head scratcher for me. Again, if it wasn't if we had better caliber catchers, I could maybe understand it for sure. Absolutely. Get some more time in AAA, but.
Well, I'm looking right now. His career minor league batting average is 277, which is definitely not impressive.
No, it's not. But again, right now in with the trends of the baseball world, I mean, you're stoked if your catcher gets on 1 out of every 4 times. You're like, sweet,
absolutely,
love it, cool.
Yeah, awesome. I love defensive catchers. I'm all about a catcher who can bat 220. But the thing with that is when you're batting 220, I need you to provide me some solid defense.
That's true.
And there's a big difference between 220 and batting 180 like Squid.
Can't even. Oh man, that's been a tough one. It's so crazy with Squid. It's crazy because if you look at his stats, he's 6th or 7th on our team, and I'm in WAR, I believe. But then you look at his batting, it sucks because on defense, he's phenomenal again, but I need bats. We need bats more than anything right now. So
he's got a WAR of 0.8 through 222 at-bats, 38 hits. He's got 5 home runs, and he's batting 171 currently.
Golly, that is insane.
Yeah, and the bulk of that's defensive. So
yeah, exactly, which is crazy. That shows, how well he is at in the middle infield. He is so good. But I'll say this: I was really surprised when we DFA'd Wade over Velasquez. Not that I was super stoked on either of them towards the middle of the season, but. I mean, at least Wade was getting on base a little bit more.
Yeah, and I like the fact that he can bunt for a hit.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
Not that Velasquez can't. We just never see him do that.
Yeah, I don't think he did it very many times, but.
Okay, so you're obviously not a big Velasquez fan. And that's okay. Let's talk about some of these other
It
guys
sucks
who.
because I do see, and this is my issue, is that I just like I don't want to say I get attached because that's not the right word, but like I admire his glove a lot, which makes me hate him less. I don't hate him, but as somebody that wants our team to win, he's not the answer because he's not hitting.
Yeah.
He's hitting you said 171?
171.
That is like, and you have a starting job. That's just crazy.
Well, and the other thing is, realistically, who are you going to put at shortstop? You know what I mean? Now, if David Fletcher is healthy, which he should be pretty soon,
Yep.
that's a different situation. And I'm
Although,
sure.
did you see how he did in his most recent stint?
No, I saw that he was doing well his first 2 games with the Bees.
No, I saw that his last 3 games. I mean, he's coming off an injury, right? So better for the doubt. Fine. He went 1 for 8, I think.
In his stretch of like what, 2
Yeah.
games? Or, okay.
3 games.
Whew, okay.
Yep. So, I mean, like I said, coming off of an injury, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Like, I know it's been a significant amount of time. You got to get the timing back.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I'll have
Although I
to
love Fletch. I'm a big Fletch fan.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. Hometown kid,
Yeah.
grew up a fan,
Yep.
fun to watch. I like how nonchalant he is when he plays. But see, here's the thing. I hate Rendon because he's too nonchalant, but I like Fletcher because he's nonchalant. Like
It's a different vibe. It's just
Absolutely.
different. It's a different vibe.
Fletcher is more of like of a SpongeBob. You want to see me do it again, and like Rendon's more of like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah. Oh, we just had this crazy losing streak. I guess I'll get wrist surgery.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we brought up the wrist surgery thing. What's your opinion on Rendon and what you've seen from him in an Angels uniform? I don't care about your opinion of him as a national because that was much different, I'm sure.
Right. Man, again, another scenario similar to Squid where he is so good at third. I mean, good God, some of these plays he makes, I'm like, I wish, but his production at the plate hasn't been up to par for the amount of money that we're giving him. And when I lay down and I try to go to sleep at night, I think about how much money we're paying him and how much money we could be giving, like another really large all-star on our roster right now. Obviously hasn't been up to par. I am very skeptical about the whole situation of him getting a wrist surgery. I'm sure you saw the night before he announced it, he said he was available to pinch hit. He said, our hitting coach or whatever, oh, he's available to pinch hit. And then the next day he announces that he's going to get wrist surgery after we lose. And then we're under 500 again. It's just, sus.
Is this not something you've gotten used to, though? You know what I mean? It's always he's fine. He's available to pinch hit. Oh, he's out. I mean, look what's happening currently with Mike Trout, right? Oh, he's okay. He's available to pinch hit. Available to pinch hit for 2 or 3 straight days. That's what we hear. He's available.
Yeah.
And then, he's out of the All-Star game. I'm just hoping that we don't get to the point where like 2 or 3 days from today, we're now talking about, okay, well, now he's missed a series. Oh, he's out for the year. That's what I always fear because it's been the case with Trout.
That is true. Yeah, I will say that, when you compare like a wrist surgery or wrist injury to a back injury, like I can understand, I need to get surgery on this, whatever. I get that. Coming from somebody that dealt with a lot of back issues during my softball tenure, I popped some Advils and then I got on the field. I don't know. We don't know the extremity of it, I guess, but I don't know. I love Trout, but
I do too.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say mean things. I'm not good at that.
No, it's kind of something we've had to get used to here, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'll ask you a Trout question right now, but the whole thing with Rendon, seemingly isn't going to get better contract wise. He's getting 36 million this year, and then he's going to be getting 38
gross is
million
that?
starting.
I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, think about that when your head hits the pillow. Like what you can do with 36 million dollars.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I do every day. I'm like, this fool's getting
Yeah.
so much money, and he's just living his best life, baby. Like,
Yeah, that's definitely a TikTok.
it is. I need
You
to
know,
talk about that.
yeah, you'll just put like like that you're Rendon and you're like bathing in money. You'll just have to like put the background of like you in a shower.
Listen, that's pretty much the reality of it. So you're right. I'm gonna do it. Watch.
Yeah, just have somebody maybe like dump coins like that way it looks like it's falling on you. You just got like la 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 la.
Saving in the money, baby, not having
That's
to do a
essentially
thing.
what it is. Yeah, exactly. I mean, $38 million from 2023 to 2026 is absolutely crazy. I mean, to think you'll be getting more than Trout.
That is crazy. You're
Yeah.
right. More than Trout. Because Trout's at like what, 33?
Yeah, poor guy. So I think it's like a 32.
I know, right? What a rough life. I mean,
Yeah, I can only imagine what it's like to walk down a red carpet of an All-Star game with my, 1.5, 2-year-old wearing Gucci.
Although Beckham is so adorable.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't know. Maybe he's just starting to get into dad mode. I don't know. I don't know what his deal is, but
Yeah, okay, so my question that I was alluding to was, is it time to label Mike Trout as an injury prone? Not because you want to, but has he, unfortunately gotten the title over the last couple years?
if you take the name away from it, I feel like you have to say yes.
Yeah.
If you say I have this player who has been in the league for 10 plus years now and has had, multiple injuries over the span of the last 2 years, are they injury prone? I feel like you have to say yes.
Absolutely. I mean, going back to like 2017 is when it really started for him, right? That was the year that I think he slid into the base against the Astros and he like jammed his thumb or whatever.
Right,
and then he started wearing the oven mitt. And then Eric
everybody
Young
started
Jr.
wearing the oven mitt.
Yeah, absolutely. Eric Young Jr. kind of came out of nowhere and like turned into Mike Trout for like 40 games.
40 games.
Yeah, right.
Nice.
So in 2017, he played in 114 games. In 2018, 140. So that was a good season. 2019, 134 games. He was injured for part of the year, but he did win an MVP. 2020, we'll scrap that year. He was healthy. 2021, he only played in 36 games, and as of right now, he's at 79 games out of like almost 90?
Yeah, 92?
90 something, yeah. Sounds right.
I think it's 92. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like you have to say that he is, which, I mean, again, like this is his 12th season? 12? Already? I think it's 12, because, he got drafted in 2009, and then he played part of 2010.
2011.
Yeah. 20, yeah, you're right.
This is his 10th full season, but, you can kind of count 11.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, I feel like you have to, and maybe that's the reason why they're babying this so much, because if he's out for another season, or not another season, but the rest of the season, I guess, with another injury. Yeah, I mean, how do you feel? What do you think?
Yeah, I think unfortunately you got to give him the moniker. This isn't a 1 or 2 year thing. It's just like, for instance, everyone's giving Rendon that moniker, right? I mean, you go on TikTok, you go on Angels Twitter, you go on anything really, and everyone's like, oh, yep, this guy's an injury prone. And if we're giving a guy after 2.5 years that title,
right?
I mean, what can we do with Trout? I mean, this has been an ongoing issue, unfortunately. I just hope that this year is in a situation where he's on the IL for a long period of time. I've said on a previous episode, this has nothing to do with, baseball fans deserve to watch Mike Trout. It has nothing to do with anything like that. But, you want to see him healthy.
Of course you do. Especially for how much, I mean, to be harsh, like, especially for what we're paying him. I would like to see him on a field.
Yeah, I mean, that's unfair for us to do as fans, though. You know what I mean? We obviously want to see our guys play. I mean, there's
Right. Yeah. Of
there's no
course.
doubt about it. Mike Trout is our guy, right? He came
Yeah.
up in this system. He's
Yeah.
been an Angel, and in theory, he will die an Angel.
Yeah.
He's signed a lifetime contract. There's a lot of people who are all of a sudden on the trade Trout train. I don't know
Don't
if
even get me
you're.
started on that shit. Oh my god.
Are you on Angels Twitter?
Sorry, am I on? Okay. Angels Twitter, not really. I should be.
Probably
I
for the
haven't.
best. It's a toxic place.
Yeah. I haven't. I took a step away from Twitter. Twitter's chaotic. A little chaotic for me.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, like Twitter's just kind of turning into an environment for like social, like cyberbullying. I'm.
No,
That's kind of
you're
what
right.
it is.
Right.
You cyberbully other people, or you cyberbully like organizations, or I see people doing it with players. And don't get me wrong, we've been guilty in terms of memes, but I think memes are a little bit more understandable for people than like, hey, this dude sucks, retire. Straight up saying that.
Yeah, I mean that's a little harsh. I mean, yeah, Twitter is definitely a very chaotic place. Very chaotic. And you look at like something like you said, like Angels Twitter, it is like that in every sector of Twitter. I mean, like, I have, other interests. Like a little bit about me. I love Pokemon. I'm a big Pokemon nerd. So like even as something so wholesome as Pokemon, toxic. It's crazy. You would never have guessed that, but it's just
Twitter.
Yeah.
I would have never guessed that Pokemon Twitter would have been a toxic place.
Dude, you have no idea. Really, what it is, it's people complaining about like games that are made or like the TCG market, which I'm just kind of getting back into like baseball card world. I did it a lot when I was younger. But rise in prices, oh fuck Pokemon, like blah blah blah, whatever, fuck the Pokemon company, whatever. So yeah, Twitter's crazy. And I feel like even if you just go on Instagram and look at some of these Instagram profiles that are posting things, even not just about the Angels, but Trout or Ohtani in general, it is just two of the best players on the worst franchise in the world, poverty franchise. Like, it gets so sickening. I can't handle it.
I do wish I had $1 though for every time I saw that. Like, oh, they're wasting their careers. They're wasting their careers. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, here's the thing. We can say that because we're Angels fans, and
Absolutely.
We've all been frustrated, and I'm sure deep down we're kind of like, yeah, I mean, low key, we kind of are wasting these guys. It's natural to feel like that. I don't think there's anything wrong with us feeling like that deep down, but it's that situation. Like, hey, you don't say that about my team. Only I say that about my team.
Exactly. I completely agree with you. And yeah, the whole Trout getting traded thing, like that, it bothers me so much because it's an example of people that want to, poke fun at something that they haven't clearly done any of their research on. Like, people forget that he signed his contract like 3 years ago when we still weren't doing all that great. If he wanted to leave, he would have left. And who's to say if he doesn't request a trade like later in his contract? Obviously I wanted him to be an Angel for life. Like, that's the guy, right? Like you said. But he's not going to request a trade 25% of the way through his contract. He's not going to do it. He has a family now. He has a house in, probably somewhere in South Orange County. Like, he's going to be that guy regardless of what team he goes to. But, people are just mad that their team passed up on him in the draft. And I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we almost did, right? He
you don't have to say that part.
Yeah, right. We literally drafted Grant Green before we drafted Mike Trout.
That's true.
Do you remember Grant Green?
I remember the name, but it's back in my memory bank somewhere.
Yeah, it's deep down there, along with guys like John McDonald and
exactly.
Caleb Coward.
Oh my God, yes, exactly.
We're gonna throw those names down at the bottom and pretend they don't exist.
Exactly. What names?
Yeah, right. I like to occasionally think of some fond ones I have, like Efren Navarro. I like him.
Oh, there's a good one. Okay.
He was fun. He was a good guy.
Another one, Meister Isritis. I was thinking about him the other day.
Is Tourist?
Yes. Sorry, I said his last name wrong.
You're fine. I'm sure everyone
There's
does.
another one that's like way back there, and I'm just like, oh yeah, you existed.
Yeah, right. Okay. So we've just been kind of shitting on the Angels for like the last like 15 minutes, and that's fine because I mean, let's be realistic. The first half was really, really rough. Now, the first month and some change of the season, great. We were on cloud nine. You know, everybody was going ballistic, right? There was people literally bringing thundersticks into the stadium on a
Right.
random May game. So
Right.
things were good in Angels world.
Yeah.
And then the Toronto Blue Jays came to town. And ever since then, we've gotten our cheeks clapped almost every single series. And it's just, I don't know. It's hard to describe. It's just
Where
like,
do you begin?
exactly. Like, I'm literally at a loss for words. Like, I'm trying to think of like a joke or a meme. And it's just nothing really makes sense because it's just so frustrating. And it's really hard to articulate what's going wrong, why it's going wrong. Because I think the issue isn't this season. It's been really the failure of the last like decade. Sure, 2014 we made the playoffs, but once
And that's
again, exactly. Once again, that was the exception, not the
Right.
rule. I've said that like 15 times this episode because really the Angels have no explanation as to what's going wrong and why.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know either. I think that our owner would probably say the same. I don't think he knows what's wrong and he doesn't know how to fix it. Like when Madden got fired, that was such a strange point in the series. I mean, the losing streak was strange, right? But, at that point in time, I was like, okay, if they're going to fire Joe Madden, then he either must have been the problem or this is going to be a spark that's going to, rally the troops, baby, and everything is going to be okay again. And, he got fired. We lost the first game and then we won the next game. And then I think we scored some crazy amount of runs against the Mets with the City Connect debut. And I made a TikTok about it. I was like, dude, we're 2 for 3, we're 2 for our last 3. We've scored, however many runs, like everything's fine. Madden was the problem. And although I do still think that he might have been the issue, I don't know why we're not cleaning house elsewhere.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the biggest issue is the fact that, okay, anytime you lose 14 games, someone has to get fired.
Yeah,
this
I
is
agree.
professional sports.
Especially where we were. We were 10 games
Absolutely.
over 500, and then you lose 14 games.
We were a top 5 team in baseball at that time in terms of record, where everything was clicking. The offense was clicking, the starting pitching. It has been decent throughout the whole year, but was doing really well. The bullpen was fine. And then all of a sudden, we just went on this monster collapse. But the problem is that it's a lot easier to fire one person, which was, of course, Joe Madden, than it is to fire, Paul Sereno, Jeremy Reed, and Matt Wise. It's a lot harder to replace 3 guys in the middle of the season than it is to replace one guy. Especially because no matter which way you slice and dice it, Joe Madden was not Perry Manassian's guy. He did not hire Joe Madden, and Taylor Blake Ward made an argument that, well, I think Joe Madden's everyone's guy. Okay, sure. But it's kind of like, exactly. It's kind of like if you get like a job, like, working at, Panera Bread, your manager kind of has to be your guy or gal because you're dealt that hand. You have to work with it.
Yeah, I agree. And that's my dog in the background. Don't.
No, it's fine. I get it.
He's massive.
What kind of dog?
I have a Great Dane.
Oh.
Yeah, he's 7 months old, so he's still a puppy, which means he's just like this big, clumsy creature. So you hear him running into my blinds. That's what that is.
I was an animal trainer for 7 years.
Really? Oh, that's amazing.
I used to work at SeaWorld, so.
Wow, that's insane. What an experience.
It was fun. It was something I always wanted to do.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. Is that something that you like? I mean, did you go to school for it or?
I did not. I had to start from the base level. So I started off as a ride operator because that was the only thing they were hiring for at the time. You needed to be in a department for 90 days before you could switch. So I did my 90 days. transferred to education and education and conservation, sorry.
Okay.
And then I did like day camps and everything. And after I did that for about a year and a half, I worked my way to animal training. And I worked at the Pets Rule Show.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really cool.
It was fun. And now I work for a pest control company. Completely different world.
Completely different, still animals, I guess, maybe.
We try to get rid of animals naturally before we do anything else.
There you go. There you go.
We're all animal lovers. So contrary to what somebody might think.
Like, yeah.
So
I forgot what we were talking about.
I do too. I mean, I had a little bit of enjoyment talking about something good because we've been talking about, something that's been just outright depressing.
Joe Madden is what we were talking about.
There you go, Joe Madden. So yeah, the whole Joe Madden thing, it's a lot easier to fire one person than it is to fire essentially 3 people. But I do definitely see a situation where Perry Manassian's most likely going to clean house this offseason. And, I have to give Perry a fair shake. He's never really had an opportunity to clean house on a coaching staff. He acquired this coaching staff. I think the only kind of move he made was hiring Phil Nevin as the third base coach. Maybe he kind of knew, hey, if Joe Madden doesn't work out, I like Phil Nevin. Because I've heard talk that Phil Nevin's a little closer to Perry's guy.
Okay.
Than Joe Madden was. But, that's just what I hear. That's all hearsay.
Yeah. I mean, when I found out it was Nevin and, I knew who he was. Like, I knew he was our third base coach, but I didn't really know much about him, like, as a player or a person. And, again, he's a local guy, right? Like, I feel like he's very like old school baseball-y type guy, which like, I don't really mind that. I guess if I had to pick new or old school baseball, I kind of lean towards more towards old school baseball. But, one of the things that I have written down in my notes is that I feel like it's hard for any coach or any interim coach to pick up a team that just has like S-tier superstars on it. Like, when you think about like coaches that have to coach someone like LeBron James or Kobe Bryant, like Michael Jordan, you kind of have, or Tom Brady. I mean, I feel like you kind of have to cater to the athlete a little bit more. And maybe that's kind of what we've seen a little bit. Although Shohei and Mike Trout, they don't really strike me as somebody like a Kobe Bryant. They're not all, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like, they seem a lot more reserved, humble type of players.
Yeah, Kobe Bryant, like, kind of like being in the limelight, kind of flourish in the limelight. So, okay, I definitely like that take. I can see that.
Yeah.
I was actually talking to my boss about this either today or yesterday. The fact that, like, how often in really any sport does a coach, manager, whatever, get fired in the middle of the season and actually field a competitive team? It doesn't happen often.
It does not. That's true.
Like, I think the only person that comes immediately to mind was whoever was coaching the Cleveland Cavaliers year, like they won.
Yes.
With like LeBron. Like, I forgot what his name was.
Couldn't tell you what it was either. I like basketball, but I'm not as involved in the basketball world as I am baseball.
It might have been Tyronn Lue, maybe. But yeah, they had like some coach, I think, from Europe.
Okay.
That was their head coach. They fired him in the middle of the season. I think they got Tyronn Lue and they ended up winning.
Yeah.
But like you said, I mean, let's be honest, like LeBron James is kind of like the head coach of whatever team he's on.
Exactly.
The head coach is just kind of there like, okay, LeBron.
Whatever you say, my guy. Whatever you say, we'll do it.
We're going to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't see Trout or Ohtani doing that. Like, honestly, I feel like Trout and Ohtani are the kind of guys who are just kind of like sitting there like, okay, cool, man. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I agree. However, like, do you think that, I mean, okay, obviously on the field, Shohei has stepped up. Like, that is just a whole different, that's like one of the very few, bright spots, right? Is Shohei.
I'm highlighting very few.
Yeah, seriously, few as in 1, 2, 3, few, right? Like, that's it. He has been so stellar this year and just has done the classic job of putting the team on his back whenever he can. And in baseball, you can't control too much, but what he can control when he's on the mound, it has been so insane to watch. I mean, he's allowed 2 runs in his last 6 starts. None of them were earned though, and he is insane, right? But I feel like Trout isn't really I don't know. I feel like I should see him stepping up a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I've had conversations with people who are, in the clubhouse, around the clubhouse, so I know the kind of guys that a lot of these guys are.
Sure.
And the thing with
I
the
don't.
Angels,
No, that's fair.
The thing with the Angels is they're very what you see is what you get. You know what I mean? Like if you have a perception of somebody, every indication I have is that almost every guy is exactly what you think they are.
Okay.
From
I like
the top
that though.
down. There's no surprises. There's no, Otani's kind of an asshole. There's nothing like that. It's very much nope, that's exactly the kind of person they are. Nope, they're just as quiet as you think they are. They literally sit there, say nothing. That's who they are. And who knows, maybe that's part of the issue with the Angels. They don't really have a lot of outspoken guys. Last year, I remember when the collapse kind of started.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Cobb was the guy who called the player meeting, and that was not on my bingo card of guys who would have cared because he had 1 year left before he became a free agent. He was traded to us. He wasn't a hometown guy. He wasn't a homegrown guy. He didn't really have anything invested. He was going to hit the reset button. Why did it matter to him? But clearly it did.
Clearly it did. Yeah, absolutely. And I couldn't point a finger to who would do that. Actually, I might be able to point a finger, and it might be Rengifo. Maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
I feel like he's the only player right now that I actually feel like wants to be there and wants to play hard. And his numbers have shown that in the last 28 days. Mm-hmm. I feel like he's the only one that gets on base and is pumped and trying to get his teammates pumped up too. Let's string a couple hits together. Let's put a curvy number on the board. I don't see anybody else doing that. And I think you're right. I think that we don't have a guy like that on our team. That's let's pull the sticks out of our asses, you guys, and actually do something.
Yeah, right. Oh, we have bats? Okay.
Oh, you mean we can swing them?
Yeah, right.
We can put the ball in play?
I never would have guessed by staring at Dassey. Mr. Statue.
I refuse to talk about him
anymore. Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
It's okay. Forgive me.
The one thing that I will say is, you don't need one guy to necessarily be the spark plug. You don't need just one. But, if you could have a couple of them, that's great. And right now, the Angels are at the point where I think the season's over in terms of playoffs. I don't think, there's a 1.6% chance I read that they're going to make the playoffs. According to, I think, what is the ESPN? Either way, the chances are so slim that it's probably...
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just under 2%. But what I'm saying is also they're near the bottom.
Right. What we're saying is, so you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah, but we say that every year. The Angels will get just hot enough to get in the conversation, and they always kind of fizzle out. And, I know a lot of fans are always oh, Major League Baseball is against us. But this is the 1 year where I kind of feel like Major League Baseball was okay, Angels, we're giving you guys a softball. They made the Otani rule. They literally invented a rule benefited to only help us.
Only Otani.
Literally only help us.
That is so, oh my man, I forget about that. I don't know. It's, that was crazy. But yeah, I agree. And it even took them a while. And for me as a fan, sitting here going you're putting this team ahead of us, this team that's barely above 500. You're saying that they have a better chance at a wild card spot than we do, and we're however many games over 500. It took them a while, but eventually, what I really think that it took was, this beautiful scene that I have behind me that I go back to when life was good and things were happy. When Detmers threw his no-hitter, I think they kind of were okay, I think we can kind of start giving them a little bit of credit now.
Yeah.
Because that game was, again, that was the epitome of what I thought our season was going to be.
Yep.
Double-digit numbers, a no-hitter, Rendon hitting a left-handed home run. Life was so good.
I totally even forget that was this year. Like it feels
know.
like such a long time ago.
It feels like a lifetime ago.
It really does. And it's just like honestly, those 14 games alone felt like an entire season. And it was just ever since then the season just dragged on. Like I'm the kind of guy who like the only sport I really care about is baseball. I care a little bit about hockey. I don't really watch football like I used to. But like it was honestly to the point where like I was like ready to hit the fast forward button of this season. Like, I'm unplugging the PlayStation, we're deleting this franchise and starting from the beginning. Like it was just that part of the season where I was just like, man, we're in a endless pit, and I'm sure you were kind of on the same boat.
Yes. I am a very superstitious person.
Okay.
I was when I played softball, and I am as a fan. So, I'm sitting here going, should I just not watch anymore? Or like, I went to, I think 2 games during the losing streak, and it's like, am I the problem? Am I the drama? Do I need to just, like, do I just need to stop watching? Or like, it felt like just everything that could go wrong went wrong. Like I would turn on the TV and then, whoever we were playing would score 4 runs. And I'm like, okay, turning that off, not watching that anymore. But yeah, I agree with you. I'm pretty sure, even though the optimistic side of me says, Baseball Reference, by the way, says 0.7% chance to make the playoffs.
Oh, even less.
Not
than
even 1%.
Yeah, way less than I said.
Yeah, not even 1%. So like, maybe a couple, like a couple of weeks ago or like a month ago, maybe there's a chance, there aren't really any other teams that are like doing all that great in the wild card hunt. But yeah, at this point, there's no way. I mean, we would have to win so many games, and we can't even win a game right. And we can't even win a series.
Yeah.
You know the last time we won a series? Because I don't.
I know the last time we split a series was against the Rangers, and that was right before like the collapse had happened.
Right. So then that was a 2-game series, wasn't it?
It looks like yeah.
Yeah.
I think the last time we won a series was it Seattle?
Oh, yes.
Oh, no, the White Sox. 27th, 28th,
you're
and
right.
29th.
Yep.
So the 27th we won. We lost the 28th, and then we won the 29th.
Yes, that's correct. And I went to that game on the 29th, I think, when I think we won like 4-0. And I'm like, wow, okay, cool. Let's keep doing the thing, you guys. And then I don't know what happened after that.
Yeah. And then we got swept by the Astros. We split with the Marlins. We got our cheeks clapped by the Orioles. We
good God, I mean,
lost to the Astros, got swept by the Dodgers, and here we are today.
Oh, man. I think when we got swept by the Orioles, I was like, okay, I think we're done.
Yeah, that was it for me. Especially because like some of those games, like they were at least competitive. Like we lost 1-4. Raisel Iglesias blew one of the leads, and it was 4-5. And that's another guy who's been disappointed this year. We lost 0-1 on that Saturday, and then Sunday we lost 5-9. So it's like half of those games we were in, or I guess 3 out of the 4 we were in.
It's funny because a lot of the games that we've lost this year, we have been in. I want to say about half of the games that we've lost this year have been by 2 runs or less. Yep. And, if you are at least, more than surface level into baseball, that 3 is like a pretty solid number, right? Like we like 3 runs. And, that to me just says like our hitting we're not hitting the ball. And I think I think the easy excuse, especially for Angels fans, and again, people that are like more surface level, which by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing at all, because we all are surface level at some point, right? So I'm not knocking anybody that's like that. But, it's easy to point the finger at the pitching staff. And that's been our issue for so many years. I think we're just so used to saying it's the pitching staff's fault. Absolutely. But our starting rotation this year, when you line them up with the rest of the league, they're ranked 10th out of 30. And our relief pitching is 14th out of 30. So our pitching is not the issue. But then you look at all of the other hitting stats, and we're bottom 5 in pretty much everything.
Yeah, and it's frustrating, especially when your offense is supposed to be your strong suit, right?
Yeah, with Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, there's another group of guys, right, who are just underperforming. I mean, Jared Walsh immediately comes to mind.
Absolutely.
He's
100%.
batting .236. We went from being an all-star last year to replacement level guy. He's got a WAR of .2, so he's not much better than the replacement level guy right now. Honestly, we're at the point where you might want to platoon him.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Not performing. He really isn't. Now the Angels got the goose back, so maybe you need a platoon with the goose.
All right, how do you feel about that pickup? Tell me how you feel.
Dumpster diving.
Yeah.
I like Phil Gosselin. I like him.
I do too.
But
I like him as a human.
He's a bench player. Just like Squid. If Squid's your starter, there's a problem. If Squid's a bench piece, great, no problem. Whatever. You need a late inning guy for the guy behind you. Reed Detmers, no hitters. Hey, we need to buckle down here or a tight defensive game.
Yes.
I need my best defensive squad out there. Correct. Unfortunately, we haven't had too many of those because our bullpen hasn't been able to keep us in games late. I'm looking at you, Aaron Loop. But, okay, so let's talk about him for a second. That's another big guy, right?
Man, that's at the top of my list is Aaron Loop. I mean, to think that he had less than a 1 ERA last year, and he has a 3.7 ERA this year?
4.13.
I'm sorry, 4?
0.13.
Oh my God. I mean, how does that even make sense? How does that even make sense? And I mean, obviously when you're relief pitching, right? It's going to be later in games.
Yep.
But in games where it matters, same with Iglesias. I mean, they just love to give up runs when, it's a close game. I don't get it.
No, I mean, it's just the curse of the Angels giving out a contract. I mean, Raisel Iglesias is 2-6 with a minus .1 ERA. So, basically replacement level. He's got a 4.50 ERA. He's pitched in 35 games this year, and he's only gotten 15 saves.
It's just it's so insane.
It's just so Angels.
Wow. It's one thing to witness it, and then when you hear the numbers behind it, it's just it's so bad.
Yeah.
It's so bad. And I never was a pitcher. I could never, the amount of grit it takes to be a pitcher and all that, I give them props. But it is really hard when your offense isn't scoring any runs. If you go into
Absolutely.
a game and you have a couple of runs, behind you, even if you're just winning, I mean, that helps so much. I'm not saying that should totally matter, but confidence level and, really even what types of pitches you throw and how you're acting when runners are on base, it changes everything.
Absolutely.
And when your offense isn't hitting and you go in, I mean, I don't know.
One of the things that I'll say is it's really obvious when you're watching a game. So the Angels will, a pitcher will give up 1 or 2 runs, right? The demeanor of the starter completely changes. Michael Laurenson's up there. As soon as he gives up a run or 2, it's almost as if you could tell they're kind of this game's over.
Which is so the opposite of what you're supposed to do in baseball.
Absolutely.
Because you have 9 innings to work with. And, the funny thing about that, too, is that 2 or 3 runs isn't even a lot. I mean, we give a starting pitcher a pat on the back when they have a 2 to 3 ERA, right? Yep. Great. You're doing the thing. Awesome job. Whatever. But you're exactly right. If you feel like it's over before the game is over, then the game is over.
Absolutely.
I completely agree with you.
Absolutely. And, it's definitely part of the problem. It's such a mental game that there's no way. The batters at some point start to pick up on it. Your pitches start getting flat because then you start overthinking. And, it's just such an issue that's been going on. I don't know if it's because of the coaching. And it's easy to naturally blame the coaching. We all, everyone does it. It doesn't matter what kind of sport it is. As soon as the team starts falling flat, it's always like, well, it's the coaching. And, to an extent, it is. Because, your coaches are supposed to help you, stay loose. They're supposed to help correct you in these type of situations. So, yeah, to an extent, it is the coaching, but it's not only the coaching. At some point, you do have to look at the players. The pitchers are flat right now. The batters are flat right now. They're either swinging too much or not swinging enough. There's no in between with the Angels. You have the statues up there, or you have the guys who are machismo home run, like Courtney used to say when she used to come on.
Yeah. Oh man.
And it's frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, you're exactly right. And yeah, I listened to one of the last episode, or when you guys went live a couple of days ago, you guys were shitting on Brandon Marsh for hitting a solo jack when we were playing against the Dodgers. Yeah. And I could not agree with you more. It's like, tell me how you're going to hit a home run when you're down like 7-0 in late innings. How, like, what? You just have no pressure because the game is over, so then you're going to hit a home run? Like, I don't understand. And, I also really think, I do agree with you that I think at this level and with the amount of experience that a lot of these players have, I think it is equally a coach-player fault, sort of. If you look at, like younger players, that aren't progressing, then it's probably the coaching, right? Because they're just younger and they don't have as much experience, yada, yada, yada. But, there's an issue when you're swinging and missing, and that's all we're doing is swinging and missing. There's a mechanical problem if you're swinging and missing
all the time.
If you're hitting it and putting it in play, at least you're putting it in play and you're giving your team a chance, right? You're giving yourself a chance. But that's also the thing with looking at strike three that I just don't understand. Don't you want to give yourself a chance? And even if you're swinging at something at your eyeballs, at least you're giving yourself a chance.
Yeah, well, unless you're David Fletcher or Vlad Guerrero, you should not be doing that. David Fletcher can get away with it.
And he does get away with it.
Absolutely.
So it's fine.
In incredible fashion. But, it's just so frustrating when, there's not even situational hitting. And the other thing is, okay, great. We get a guy on second base with a double with 2 outs. Literally, there's nobody on the team right now, maybe besides Luis Rengifo, who I legitimately feel comfortable with batting with 2 outs. Honestly, the way we've been before the All-Star break, you might as well just, bunt because it's over. There's no situational hitting. There's no smart at-bats. There's so many opportunities where you got a guy on second base with either no out or 1 out, where there's no bunting.
Right.
There's no, I'm just going to try to slap the ball the other way. It's, no, I'm going to hit a home run.
Exactly.
Because you see this girl in the second row? Get ready for it. It's coming.
You are so right. And I don't know, maybe it's just my experience with the game. I don't know, but I will never understand why we would rather try to hit a home run than try to score. And it does feel like that sometimes. I don't know why we're not trying to bunt the ball more. I don't know why we're not trying to, slap the ball the other way when there's a shift. And I get a lot of flack for this on social media, and I don't really care because, it's not as simple as the pitcher's throwing the ball where the shift is. It's not that simple. It's not that simple. But yeah, I don't know why we're not looking at more pitches when it's a close game in late innings. I don't know why we're not trying to put the ball in play more early on. These are just things that, high school players can understand that concept. And it feels like there's just no direction. They're just going up there and doing whatever they want to do.
I completely agree with you. And it's frustrating because once again, like I said 100 times, there's really no way to articulate what's happening. There's really no way to boil it down and be like, oh, it's this. But
okay, well then let me ask you this: do you think it's internal? Do you think there's an internal problem?
We've been on record multiple times on this podcast saying that I think it starts from the top. Honestly, I believe it really boils down to Artie Moreno and it trickles its way down. I think Artie Moreno lets either himself, who's obviously not a baseball man, he's a businessman. You know, he pretends he knows baseball, and that's fine. You know,
He doesn't
but-
do a good job, but
yeah, exactly. And what I'm saying is he doesn't let the guys make the decision who should make the decisions, right? Billy Epler was never the problem. I said that here
Nope.
multiple times. I got laughed out of the building. And even in the offseason, I told Todd, Billy Epler is going to do great with the Mets. It's in there. People don't believe me. Scroll back far enough. You'll find the episode where I say it.
There
And
you
Todd
go.
literally laughed at me. And I was, you know, and now he's not the issue.
look at him.
Even Jerry DePoto was not
Yeah.
the issue. So I think the problem here is already fiddling with, you know, non-baseball moves. You know, we don't always need to get the sexy name. We don't need to get the big name. Sometimes it's all about getting the right.
That's what sells tickets.
Yeah, you know, winning also sells tickets. Hey, you
What
know,
a concept, right?
yeah, right. I mean, I bet you wanted to go watch Anthony Rendon bat when we were losing 14 straight. He was actually in the lineup. You know, I bet.
Was.
Yeah, we have Trout, we have Ohtani, we have Rendon. Great. Does it lead to wins? And that's kind of where I am now. So, you know, the last topic before I let you go, and, you know, thanks for the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, thank you so much for having me. I'm having a phenomenal time talking baseball with you, even though it's mainly sad stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Literally, anytime you want to come on, let us know. But,
Yeah.
okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of names, and I want you to let me know if they'll be here after the trade deadline. Now, I'm not going to hold you to these.
Okay.
I really just want you to give me your hunch.
Okay.
You know, and you can even give me a part two if you like. Like if I tell you a name and you're like, oh, you know, he's not going to get traded, but I would trade him. I'll let you do
Okay.
that. But that's on you.
Fair.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So let's start with a guy like Noah Syndergaard. You know, he's a free agent after this year. Will he be on the team come August 3rd?
Syndergaard. I'm gonna go with no. I'm gonna go with no. Although I think that one is kind of a tough one.
I would go with no as well. And, you know, I could legitimately see an avenue where I would trade him. I like Noah Syndergaard. I would
I
love
do
him
too.
to be an extension candidate. You know, I think he's doing well with who he is. He's coming off
Correct,
of Tommy
with who he
John
is.
surgery.
Correct.
You know, it's really hard to be at the top of the baseball world like he was 3 or 4 years ago. And all of a sudden be in a situation where, you know, you're struggling to throw 94 to 96 because of
Yeah.
Tommy John surgery. That's a major surgery. You know, we're not talking
Yes.
about, you know, getting hearing tubes. We're talking about reconstructing your shoulder.
Right. Yeah. Tommy
So-
John is tough. Yeah.
Absolutely. And there's so many guys who come back from Tommy John and never turn out to be the same guy. And then there's guys like Justin Verlander who is like Tuck Everlasting. I don't know what the
Exception to
hell
the
is
rule.
that. Exactly.
Justin
Noah
Verlander
Syndergaard-
is the exception to the rule.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hate him because of it. Yeah, he's got a WAR of .9, 5 wins, 7 losses, but you really can't blame him for it. He's got an ERA of exactly 4, and he started 14 games.
Yeah.
So
I
not
mean,
bad.
yeah, I think that, you know, if he continues to work at the caliber that he is now, because you're right, you know, someone like him is having a hard time throwing mid-90s right now. I can almost promise you he's gone through some sort of identity crisis about who he is as a pitcher now, right?
Absolutely.
So I think after having a full season of that under your belt, I would like to hope that he has a better year next year. And I think he will, because he
Agree.
seems to be that type of athlete that, like, you know, he is gonna do whatever he has to do to, like, get better. I hate to say this because it's cringy, but he has that dog in him. He's like that type of athlete. You know what I
You're one
mean?
of those. Okay.
Ew, I would never be one of those, but that's the only phrase that comes to my stupid little pea brain right now. But that's the only way I could
He's
explain.
got
He
that
seems like that
dog
type
in
of
him.
pitcher.
Love it.
He has a lot of passion.
Okay.
That's what
I like that. He takes care of his body for sure too. Like
Yes.
I've seen the videos of him like doing yoga with Michael Laurenson, which is the next guy I'm going to bring up.
Okay.
Michael Laurenson, a WAR of .2. He's 6-6 with a 4.94 ERA. Now his last couple starts have been bad, admittedly,
Yeah.
but he was solid. He was arguably our
Was.
best pitcher for the first 2 months of the season. There,
He
you know,
was.
Shohei was struggling, or at
Mhm.
least just being average. And
Mhm.
Michael Laurenson was the ace of this team, and then it kind of flip-flopped.
That's correct. Do you know what he's getting paid right now? I don't know off the top of my head. Because unfortunately, I think money is a big issue.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me look that up real quick. So he's on a 1-year, $6.75 million contract.
And
And keep in mind, he is currently injured. I don't think he's on the IL just yet. Oh, he is. Yeah, Laurenson has been added to the 15-day list. Never.
Oh, okay.
He is expected to return in early August. So depending how early, he might not even be eligible to be traded. But in a hypothetical world where he is eligible to be traded, is that somebody the Angels look at moving because he was so good at the beginning of the season?
I think I like, well, I don't want to say I think I like our chances of keeping him, but I do think that we do keep him. And I think that a trend that I'm seeing a lot of just with the Angels organization in general is this idea of the hometown kid. Like he, again, he went to Fullerton High School. He's local to Orange County. I think if I had to pick again, it's more of a coin flip for me, but I would think we would probably keep him. Because you're right, he showed a lot of promise at the start of the season.
Yeah, I think he gets an extension. I think he's going to be getting, roughly what he's getting this year. I think he gets about a 3-year deal. I think it's like a 6, 8, 10 situation. We give him 6 next year, 8 the following year, and then 10. It's going to be something like that. I think maybe there's a 4th-year option involved with the buyout. But I would go that avenue with him. And honestly, I don't think I'd mind that so much.
I don't mind it either. I like him.
Yeah, I do too. He's got that dog in him.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, baby.
Okay. So we talked about him earlier, Max Dassey. He's a name who's floated around a little bit. Is he a guy who you think about moving?
I mean, okay, I'm going to take you up on your part 2 offer. If it were up
Okay.
to me, yes. Please.
Okay.
Please.
Okay, but is this a bias? Is this like I don't like him, so I want him to move? And I don't mean that maliciously. I just mean it like,
Right.
you just don't think he's the answer long term here.
No, I don't. I mean, I think again, if you take the name away from the stats, I mean, why would you want those stats to be your starter? And there's things that don't even get, written down in stats, right? Like these late inning strikeouts looking, these late inning pass balls, these late inning, I'm going to, I guess, lob the ball the second to try to throw them out. That isn't recorded in the stats, right? So, I mean, maybe there's a little bit of bias in there, but even without my bias, I say no. Please no.
Okay. Here's a guy who's really polarizing for Angels fans, Jo Adell.
Oh, man, Jo Adell. I thought you were going to say the other polarizing one, but I think you're going to save that one for last. Jo Adell. I want him to succeed so bad. And I think that's the general consensus is that
you'd be surprised.
Well, actually, yeah, I think you're right. I think you're either on one side or the other about something about Jo Adell. But you know what he is kind of doing and some other players aren't doing is he's hitting. Although he isn't doing that great out in the outfield, right? So I don't know if that at all. He's doing not good at all. So I'm hoping that is improving. You see where he does the best out in the outfield, and I think it's left field, right? That's kind of like his best outfield position.
I think that's what people say. He's been playing a lot of right field this year, but I think that's more because of need.
Yeah. So you know what? I am going to say yes, even though some people probably wouldn't agree. I would like him to stay.
I think he gets traded. I think he gets traded.
Really? Okay.
I think Perry's going to try to make a move where like, we're still trying to contend. Like they're going to go out there. Yeah. They're going to get a guy like a Luis Castillo type guy, a guy who's still young, a guy who still has some control. And I think they use Jo Adell as the big chip there.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I think that as a trade piece, he turns more heads than someone like maybe Max Dassey would. So that's true. I agree with you on that. That's fair.
Dassey's just a name who I was given,
Yeah, no, I know.
I don't exactly know like who else has value? I mean, obviously guys like Taylor Ward, but I mean, we'll skip those kind of guys who are probably fringe guys, and I'll go to the Mac Daddy of them all. And you know who I'm going to say, so I'm going to put you on the spot. Shohei Ohtani. Does he get traded, and would you trade him?
Yeah. And I have
Get ready to unfollow people.
I know, right? Get ready to hit that unfollow button. It's fine. I've ebbed and flowed with this one a lot over the last month or so. And geez, I feel like for me it kind of changes on a daily basis, just depending on how I feel that day.
I agree with you.
But as much as it doesn't make sense, or that we hate to admit that, like, he is by far the best two-way player to ever play a game of Major League Baseball. Like, I will die on that hill. Like, people say whatever they want to say about Babe Ruth. I don't care. The man.
He was a plumber.
Right. Exactly my point. So as much as it doesn't make sense for someone to say that, like, one two-way player isn't going to change things for a ball club, he's not. And for me, I think the issue is that, okay, let's say we do give him this contract, right? At the end of the day, all we're doing is just giving him more money that now we can't give to other people that we want to put around him. I love Shohei Ohtani. When I am, an old woman, it's 2090 and I'm in the stands watching a baseball game, Shohei Ohtani is going to be one of my favorite Angels of all time, because there's so many reasons to love him. But I don't think that a team with Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani wins a World Series. I don't. And at the end of the day, as an Angels fan, as a baseball fan, as someone that would, do a lot of sick shit for Angels baseball, I want to see a World Series. And I don't think it happens with both of them on the roster.
Love that take. Absolutely love it. Like, it brings me legitimate pain to sit here in a situation where I say we need to trade Shohei Ohtani. Now, Angels fans are pissed, right? Because we have this guy. We have this guy who is literally the most talented baseball player we've ever seen. I'm aware that we watched Mike Trout play baseball. But right. Mike Trout doesn't throw 101 miles an hour consistently. Mike Trout doesn't have a 60-mile-an-hour curveball on top of throwing 101 miles an hour. Mike Trout hits bombs, but so does Shohei Ohtani. The thing with Shohei Ohtani is when he is healthy, and we've finally seen that, he is by far the most talented player I've ever seen. The most talented
Absolutely.
Athlete. Let's forget baseball for a second. There's honestly no sport that I can't see Ohtani playing and succeeding.
Absolutely agree with you. The man is so athletic, and he didn't start out that way, right? Like, he didn't start out as this big jack 6'4" dude. Like, he was a scrawny guy, and all of us, like you look at his, I was watching some of his highlights when he was playing over in Japan, and he looks like a child.
Yeah,
he's so small.
He was.
Yes, true, but compared to he looks like a grown man. That you're absolutely right. He could probably go be a wide receiver on a football team. He could probably be, a shooting guard. He could do it all. I agree with you completely. So
the guy dunks. So, yeah, he literally went from just from being a little boy to Zaddy, immediately.
Yes. You said it.
Yeah, exactly. The guy's absolutely talented. So, it really pains me to be in a situation where I say, yeah, we do need to trade him. But here's the thing. We've had Rendon, we've had Ohtani, we've had Trout. We're not waiting for a situation for them all to be healthy for the first time. I guess we are. But what I'm saying is we've been waiting on this for a couple of seasons. This isn't like a situation where we just got one of these guys. There's potential. There's been potential, and unfortunately, we're stuck in this Rendon contract. There is nothing we can do to get anybody to take that contract.
Yeah.
Can you get somebody to take the Mike Trout contract? In theory, sure. But you elected that Mike Trout was going to be your guy. You signed a lifetime contract as well in the form of
How do you not elect Mike Trout to be your guy?
Exactly. Mike Trout's the most consistent player in Major League Baseball. No doubt about that. because another thing with Shohei Ohtani is he lacks consistency. He was
At the
great
dish,
last
yes.
season. Yeah. He was good last season until the All-Star break. Then couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. And then this year started off really, really cold. And it wasn't until like the last 3 weeks before the break that he started to heat up at the dish.
Yep.
And almost the same thing pitching-wise. Average pitcher, and all of a sudden the last 6 starts turned into the best pitcher in baseball. And he has that potential. And we know he has that potential on both sides. Mm-hmm. But I do think you need to trade him. People are going to hate me, and people are going to hate us. But at the end of the day, this team needs to win. And I'm right there with you. They're not going to do it with Rendon, Trout, and Ohtani on the roster, especially not making 30 to 40 million respectively each.
Right.
Because Ohtani's going to demand that kind of number because he deserves that.
Absolutely. He's 2 players in one body. I mean, you should. I don't blame him. The only issue though is, and maybe this will get less people to click unfollow, is that if you think about our owner, I can't say it's as easy for him to let him go. Because you think about, and we talked about this earlier, right? Artie Moreno doesn't, at least seemingly, doesn't care about World Series. He cares about selling tickets. And even though we are however many games under 500, there's still people going to Angel games. And, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm not guilty because I'm guilty of that myself. But, tickets are still selling. And people around the world watch Angels baseball because of Shohei Ohtani. So that's the other thing with him is that it's not just his athleticism, but it's what he brings to the table off the field, his marketability, like the viewership, the jersey sales. There's also that whole other layer on top of it. And that might be enough for Artie to say, we're going to keep him.
Yeah. After all I said right now about them needing to trade him, let me also say this. The Angels will not trade him. He will live out his days here as an Angel. So next season, he will most likely become a free agent because I don't see a situation where he wants to re-sign here again. Not because he's not having fun, but it's like Ohtani strikes me as a guy who's not motivated by money. And that's just because,
I completely agree with you.
The whole Japanese culture has always kind of been about respect and, what you have and being appreciative for what you have.
Yes.
Every Japanese person who I know is very much about, respect for your family, respect for yourself and all that. And I just don't think he's money motivated. So I think you could literally give him a blank check, be like, here, and he'll go somewhere else where he has a chance to win. And still make a little bit of coin, of course.
I think you're exactly right.
But yeah, he'll be an Angel through next year. And we'll get nothing for it. He'll go somewhere else.
Yep.
And unfortunately, we'll see him win a ring somewhere else. And,
Yep.
As much as it would pain me to see him in any other uniform, no matter what uniform he is in, I will be happy for Ohtani the man because I know he's a good person. He's a great player. He's a generational player. That's just a guy who you appreciate and enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. Although I would hate to see him in Dodger blue. That shit would piss me off.
Agreed, but I would still be happy for him.
Yeah.
Individually.
Yeah, individually, yes. I mean, there's a few places where I feel like it would kind of make sense, even though we would hate to see him leave. But I think you're exactly right, which is so funny because you think about the 3 options of re-signing him, trading him, and letting him become a free agent. We're going to let him become a free agent because it's Angels baseball.
Angels being the Angels.
So yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, can you go to like the Padres or the Giants so I can still be like, there you go. I don't hate either of those teams.
I like that. I could see him going to San Francisco. That's one of the teams that I think could find a nice little home there.
I'm just really scared he's gonna go to the Dodgers. Him and Juan Soto will both go to the Dodgers.
That would be so disgusting. That would be so gross. Absolutely. That would make me so angry.
Yeah, the only thing would make me kind of happy is if he doesn't go to the Dodgers and he doesn't go to the Yankees. That way I can just be like, you guys couldn't buy this guy.
Yeah, I think the Yankees have I think the Yankees would go out of their way more than the Dodgers would be to sign him. Personally, I think seeing him in pinstripes would be less weird than seeing him in Dodger blue.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. I don't know. I just hate the Yankees in New York so much. I'm literally in New York as we speak. I hate this state. I hate
Really?
Yeah, I come here once a month for work, and I hate it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's disgusting. Have you been in New York?
I have a few times, yes. I mean, there's parts of it that are cool, but I would not be happy if I had to travel there for work.
Every month.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's like it was 98 degrees today with like 85% humidity, and I'm like, why do you live? I'm like, at Mike Trout, why do you live here? This is disgusting.
It's
What do you eat? All there is here is diners and like fast food. What do you eat here?
Pizza.
Yeah, I guess. Like New York, New Jersey are like the same thing in terms of food. It's bad food and like,
true.
yeah. So
Philly cheesesteaks.
those are okay. Yeah, I like the cheese. All right. Do you have any closing anything? You know, obviously, you know, plug your TikTok and all that, but you know, closing thoughts.
Right. You know, do I have any closing thoughts? That's a good one. I mean, you know,
Any closing rants in you, really?
what's that?
Any closing rants? You know, we need some sound bites.
Well, let me look at, I know, right? Let me, so I'm the type of person that likes to write a lot of notes. So I do have some notes written down. So let me just make sure that there isn't anything that we missed. I mean, oh, I actually have a question. Did we ever figure out who we're getting or what we're getting for Tyler Wade?
Not yet. It was cash considerations, a player to be named later, and nothing's been announced.
And nothing's happened, right? I mean, do we have any inkling of an idea of who we're getting?
I think it'll be a cash consideration thing because here's the thing. A, what's the point of the Yankees not just picking up his contract immediately when he was waived? The only thing I can think of is to save money because here's the thing. He cleared waivers. So that means instead of paying him the $100,000 you would have had to pay him to keep him on the 40-man, they're now paying the $12,000 a year that minor leaguers get.
Right.
To get Tyler Wade back. Which, once again, I'll use this as my excuse to say minor leaguers are criminally underpaid.
You could have a whole discussion about that.
And we have.
However, I agree with you.
I don't
Except
know how
Rob
much,
Manfred doesn't seem to think that it's an issue. So
absolutely. I don't know how much you've really kept up with us. I know you just started to follow us.
yes,
But like we've done a ton of stuff with minor leaguers. We've had roundtables. We've
Yes.
fed the 66ers before. So we've tried to do
okay.
everything we can to
That's
try
amazing.
to
I
A,
love that.
keep that under the spotlight, and B, try to help these kids just a little bit.
yeah, because that's the thing. They're kids, most of them at least.
Yep.
Kids.
Yeah.
Most of them
They're
can't
really-
even go get a beer if they want to.
They cannot. And apparently a meal either.
That's true. Yeah, that's cool though. I mean, what teams in particular, like more local to?
Yeah, the Inland Empire 66ers is the Angels
yeah.
low A team. So
Right.
we did that last year. So we'd like to expand to do more. So
That's really cool. I love that.
well, there you go. We'll let you know if we have any others in the future.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Next was supposed to be tacos.
Love a good taco.
Yeah, because last year we did sushi for them. So this year is supposed to be getting a taco guy.
Okay. I love that. Everybody loves a taco guy.
Yep.
Everybody loves a taco guy. Yeah, I think we pretty much touched on everything. In terms of things ending rants that I have, you know, I think that as an Angels fan, if you're like me and you're trying to be optimistic, you know, and you're trying to stay positive, it's very easy to be a Debbie Downer about this team right now, and I understand that. But, you know, I think the best that we can do right now is just enjoy watching what we have of Shohei Ohtani, because he is just so disgustingly talented this year, and it's been so fun to watch him.
I love that.
I mean, it's true. Like, again, one of the few bright spots is him, right? So I guess all we can really do is just kind of cross our fingers and see what happens. Although I am particularly excited about a few people that we picked up in the draft. which, you know, we didn't really talk about that, which is totally fine because that's, again, a whole nother discussion.
We haven't got a draft episode yet, so if you want to
Huh?
ever come on here and talk about the draft, you let me know.
Okay. I mean, I would be down for that. Again, there's a few names that I'm pretty excited about. So yeah, I would be down. But
We'll bring Taylor Blake Ward on for that one.
ooh, yeah, there you go. Super down. Super down. So I don't know. I guess just enjoy what you can. Take the Angels baseball for what it is, and you know, hopefully the future will be bright. But you know, I also did hear a few people the other night talking about, you know, like boycotting some games or bringing some signs. I'm not opposed to that. You know, let your dollar bills speak for themselves, right? So if you really feel like something needs to change internally, don't go to games. I mean, look at what Oakland is doing, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to Oakland anymore. I mean, which
And they're going to
rightfully
lose their
so.
team because of it.
Well, yeah, that's true. Although
That's the difference.
That's a fair point. Which poor Oakland, man. I mean, that city has just been through it the last however many years.
Gross.
But I know. I know.
I said it. The stadium's gross. The team's not that great anymore, but they had years of being good. So
Yeah,
that's kind of why
true.
I hate their whole argument about like, oh, well, we're not standing for this tanking thing. I'm like, guys, your organization like had their chance. You made the playoffs multiple times. You know, unfortunately, at some point you do have to tear it down.
That's
You know.
true.
At some point, you just have to. You can't be in denial forever. I mean, look at the Cubs, right? They won the World Series. They tried it for 2 or 3 years afterward. It wasn't working out. They're like, well, we got to tear it down.
I still can't believe that. And I have a Cubs fan sitting over here, so trust me. Yeah, the poor Cubs, man. That's a tough one too. But
Great stadium.
yeah.
I go to Chicago every month for work too. So.
Okay. Yeah, I've only been to Chicago once. I played college softball in the Midwest, so I made a trip to Chicago once, and it's cool. I like it more than New York.
Yeah, absolutely. I hated Chicago when I first started going there,
Yeah.
but I've been going there once a month for 2.5 years now. It grew on me. It grew on me for sure.
Yeah, Chicago is cool. And the one time that I went was during St. Patty's weekend. So
Okay.
the water was
green rivers and all that.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. I would like to go back at some point.
Yeah, I see the sex appeal, if you will, of Chicago for sure. New York, I don't really get it. I'm just kind of like, it's gross and dingy and like it shows its age. But like Chicago, like has those parts where it definitely shows its age. Yeah. But then like they try to rejuvenate that area and like the buildings all the time. I give Chicago props for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree.
But yeah, totally agree with what you had said.
Yeah, it's tough because I like to be a positive human being and I don't have much positive to say other than, you know, enjoy Shohei while we can. And here's to hoping that next season is better, I guess, because it's not happening. It's not happening. So
this
just
year,
time to suck it up for another year and we'll see what.
Yeah, there's always the snap point next year that Angels fans love to do. Hey, we got next year. And
that's right.
Next year, you know, etc.
Exactly. But if you guys would like to cry with me about Angels baseball, I am on TikTok. I am on Instagram. My TikTok handle is Swilly with an underscore. And then my Instagram is a little bit different. It's Swilly with 2 L's and 2 Y's. I gotta fix that. I've gotta make all my handles. But yeah, if you wanna cry about Angels baseball, talk about baseball, or if you like softball, then your girl.
All right, there you go. Follow your girl Swilly over on TikTok and Instagram for much more funny Angels content. She does some pretty good stuff over there. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
We hope you had a good time, and we hope to see you again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much again for having me. It was a great time, even though it was mainly sadness. It was fun.
Thanks again for listening to Halo to the Infield, everybody. Make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, YouTube, all that fun stuff, and have a great day.